let me get started with the intro. I'm G from PyTorch Analytics at Meta. I will be giving this talk about state of PyTorch with Damien. Why we're here? Because PyTorch has turned 8 years old. So it's a great opportunity for us to take a pause and look back at what happened in the last 8 years. What happened? PyTorch has, okay, this is too stable. PyTorch has been enabling researchers. Among papers published in the last 12 years, or 12 months alone, over 20K of them have used PyTorch. You're looking at this year-over-year trend, you think, everything's growing. Of course. Papers are published every year, new things come in, and we just see an upward trend, right? That's not the case. Because you're looking at number of papers using PyTorch that have been published in every single year. Does it make sense? And this chart is not cumulative. This chart is showing a tremendous growth year over year, non-stop for 8 years. What about OpenAI, open source AI? Open source AI side, we have been enabling 140,000 GitHub repos created in the last 12 months alone. And you might notice some signal saturation during the last couple of years after a huge spike in 2021. But this year, 2024, we've seen another non-trivial growth. How about commits? We have seen over 13,000 commits made to PyTorch core repo during the last 12 months alone. Again, this is an ever-growing figure year over year. And at this point, we're no longer surprised. Of course, everything's great. And what has happened is that clearly, we're sitting on top of great momentum that in many ways have been even stronger in 2024. And that is not possible without the contributor community, like some of you. During the last 12 months alone, over 1,000 people have made commits to PyTorch core repo. And you might notice this huge increase in 2023 of this contributor community. And despite that, we were able to grow even more in 2024. And we're really thankful to some of the top contributors outside of Meta. And here are the GitHub handles. CYYever, Xuehai Pan, Peter Beltan, Xu Hanxian, Leslie Fang Intel, Skyline 007, Guang Ye. Let's give them a big applause. Thank you for these great contributors, and many of which we don't have room to show here. So one more thing I have to mention to you, another growth of the core maintainers, Alban and Peter. Alban has been with PyTorch since nearly its inception. First during his PhD years at the University of Oxford, and now at Meta. He is focused on maintaining the core components, designing a wide breadth of features, and fostering the community. Peter is managing the PyTorch team at NVIDIA. And he was our PyTorch superhero last year, thanks to his community contribution, especially in the PyTorch discussion board. As a core maintainer, he is currently focused on PyTorch's long-term vision and development. After all these, I know you want to know more. Let's welcome Damien, our PyTorch org lead at Meta, on stage.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, G. My name is Damien. I support the PyTorch team at Meta, and it's really been just an incredible journey to get here, and it's amazing to see how the growth of PyTorch just keeps accelerating over time, and over the last 8 years now. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about what's coming next and where we're going. Before I do that, I do want to call out, G obviously welcomed Alban and Piotr to the core maintainer community. PyTorch would not be successful without the work that the core maintainers are doing. So I also want to recognize Greg, Dimitro, Nikita, and obviously Samif as the core maintainer. Sorry. Oh. And of course, if I'm forgetting Edward, then I'm clearly not doing my job here. But the group of core maintainers really are the core of a project, and just want to spend some time thanking them for that. Beyond that, I also want to call out, PyTorch started out initially as a project for Meta, right? It's moved very, very far beyond that. And I think today we're seeing so many companies engaged and actively contributing to PyTorch that I can't even go through the entire slide and list everyone. And if I try, I will probably miss people out, like I missed Edward out. But I did want to call out a couple of things, right? So I think the community has grown so much. We've seen so much engagement from all of these different companies and others. I think one area where that's been particularly meaningful has been in the distributed side of PyTorch, right? So we've seen companies like IBM and Databricks and others really meaningfully contribute to building FSDP and making PyTorch distributed much stronger than it was, and I don't think we could have done it alone. So that was, just wanted to call that out. But again, way too many companies contributing for me to list out. The other thing that happened, and this is, I think all of you remember, 2 years ago, we created the PyTorch Foundation. And this is part of the Linux Foundation. And initially, there were 6 founding members of that foundation, companies that came together to really say, hey, we want to invest in PyTorch and really build it out together. Since then, we're actually up to, I think it's 18 now members of the foundation. And that number will, I'm sure, keep on growing. And by the way, if anyone here is interested, you should probably come and talk to me, and we should talk about membership in the foundation. And I think that has been really instrumental in the kind of growth that we've seen in the community and making this truly an industry-wide project. So anyway, that's kind of where we are and how much growth we've seen in the last few years. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up next. And I'll start with what we've achieved in the last year. So in the last year, we've actually launched a huge, huge number of very significant features in PyTorch, right? So it started off in April with the alpha version of ExecuTorch. And ExecuTorch is really all about bringing PyTorch to the edge. By edge, I mean anything from laptops, mobile, wearables, anything not server-side. So we launched ExecuTorch last year at the conference. It's now reached alpha status, and we're looking forward to the beta version coming up very soon. the next couple of things I want to talk about are, it really shouldn't be any surprise to anyone here, but LLMs have kind of become a thing. And, we've been living through the LLM revolution, right? And so one of the things that we really wanted to do as PyTorch was support LLMs natively throughout the entire life cycle of LLMs. And by that, I mean anything from like training, fine-tuning, running it on device, and so on. And so two of the releases that we've seen this year have been focused on that. The first one was TorchTune. So TorchTune is really all about giving a PyTorch native way of easily fine-tuning LLMs. And we've seen like really, really good growth in that project. And so that shipped in April. It's been growing since then. The second piece of it was, once we've like trained and fine-tuned LLMs, we have to run them. And so that was the second release of Torch Chat in July. And that really like showcased how you can run LLMs like Llama 3.1 performantly and seamlessly across desktop, mobile, and all sorts of devices. So those kind of like were the really like LLM focused releases that we've had. We've also really been focusing on the core side of PyTorch. And I think you've definitely heard about both those projects in earlier talks. But I just wanted to call out both Flex Attention and Torch.io as really foundational pieces that like strengthen the PyTorch core and the brand. And again, we've seen like a lot of attention and a lot of like great success for both of those. So that's kind of like what we've done, in the past year. In the next 5 minutes or so, I just kind of wanted to focus on what we're going to do. And one of the things that we at Meta have done this year that's a little bit different from before is we actually published our roadmap publicly for where we're going with PyTorch. And obviously what we're doing is only a part of the project, right? So there's going to be a lot more that's happening that is not not covered here. But we think that just being very open about our plans is helpful to the community, and definitely we want to encourage others to join on that. So I'm going to try and breeze through that, but there's a lot happening, right? So let's start off with PD2. I think one of the challenges of PD2 is even though you get these amazing performance improvements just from using a compiler, now you have to pay a price for compilation time. So one of our top focuses when it comes to PD2 this year is going to be reducing compilation time, making it more predictable, and kind of getting that obstacle out of the way. So the second piece, I'm sure all of you have been hearing about export, and that's going to be a huge focus for us. So AOT inductor is definitely a huge priority for us, and particularly adding support for tensor subclasses in AOTI and just making that more broadly applicable. Custom kernels. So this is really, we're really focusing a lot on making Triton broadly applicable, and leveraging custom kernels written in Triton, both in eager mode and in compiled mode, is going to be a top priority for us. We've talked about LLM performance. Obviously, this is going to continue to be a huge issue for us. And then finally, we see like PyTorch distributed as really a huge, huge area for us. And obviously it's a huge area for us at Meta, it's a huge area for everyone in the industry. So, one of the things that we're really focused on is composability there. And we want to have composable primitives like 3D and 4D parallelism that work with Torch compile, and that's a huge area of investment for us. So that was kind of mostly focused on the PyTorch core side of things, right? On the other hand, we're also investing quite a lot on the ecosystem side. And by ecosystem, I mean kind of like all the libraries that are maybe like one level above PyTorch core. And we've talked a little bit about TorchTune. We're definitely going to keep investing in that. And two of the biggest trends that we see in the space are multimodal, getting, that's pretty obvious, but that's getting much bigger. But also agentic behaviors and agentic recipes. So we really want to focus on that there. Torch.io is going to really focus on FP8, I would say, like as a broad description. Like really reduced precision training techniques. And we see that as being a huge growth area for Torch.io. TorchRec will introduce a new planner that will improve QPS through better balanced distributed training. And then you'll see kind of a bunch of improvements like WebP support for Torch Vision. For ExecuTorch, obviously also focusing on LLMs and particularly multimodal LLMs, but also on-device training, which I think is a fairly new area for ExecuTorch. And that's something that we really want to, we see that as like a really big growth area that we want to invest in. And finally, and this one, I'm just very excited about that. So the GIL has been a problem for Python for a very, very long time, right? And we're super, super excited that we are now in a position where no GIL has been upstreamed into core Python, and we really want to leverage that. And one of the areas where that's going to be the most effective is Torch data. So replacing this kind of clunky multi-process data loading architecture with actually leveraging no-GIL is, we're just very excited to see that happen. So that was a lot of stuff, and there's obviously a lot more going on, but again, I think the takeaway here is we have a lot of exciting things coming, right? But also, we really want to share what we're thinking about for the next year. And we really want to encourage everyone who's working on PyTorch to be transparent and kind of share their roadmaps and their plans. And with that, I kind of wanted to just do the obligatory call out for more contributions. Again, PyTorch is only successful because of all of you, right? I think a lot of people might find it a little daunting to get started with contributing to PyTorch, and thankfully, Alban has written a very helpful guide to contributing to PyTorch. So the call out here is, please join the party. It's easier than you think to get started, and I'll leave this URL on the screen for another 30 seconds or so people can screenshot it. But yeah, you have everything, all the resources you need here to get started and contribute to PyTorch. And yeah, with that, I think that's. I still see people taking pictures, so I'll still hold on for like 5 seconds. But that is effectively that's what we're up to. Again, I wanted to call out. It's been an amazing year for PyTorch. It's incredible to see how this crowd has grown since the last time we all met together. Actually, I'm kind of like shocked to like the crowd here. And we have a lot of exciting stuff in store. So thank you, and please join us, and please contribute.